Good morning, my name is David. I'm going to be showing you today how to make a kimchi tomato frittata thing that I like making. It's kind of like a tomato frittata with kimchi in it. It's pretty interesting and it's a unique take on a recipe that I found from Sorted years ago. Um, as you can see, we have beefsteak tomatoes, we have avocado, we have kimchi that's just picked up from my um, local market. We have our spices, which is just going to be salt, pepper, a little bit of celery seed, some turmeric, and some Korean chili flakes. As well as we're going to need some bacon, because everything's better with bacon, and some eggs. All right, first step we're going to do is go ahead and cook up some bacon. Because we're not doing a lot of bacon in here, two skeins, I think is what they're called. Basically, two sections of it will be plenty. All you do is just cut it in half. Makes life a little easier when you're getting ready to do this. We can actually go through for this recipe and slice it really thin, help it cook quicker, as well as it will go through and make it to where it works a little bit better in the pan, as well as when you're putting it into the recipe. Problem sometimes with doing this in a paper plate. But by doing this on a paper plate, it makes the cleanup of this a little easier. I'll have to just wash the knife. All right, let's go cook these. All right, now that the hob has come up to at least a reasonable temperature, we're going to go put the bacon in. As you can tell, we didn't hear any sizzle or anything like that. I'm not worried about that because the whole point here is we're going to be cooking these down to a small amount so that they can go in with the egg mixture inside the egg, or inside the tomato. People in my family, of course, aren't a huge fan of that. They don't like soft bacon, so I crisp them up. All right, I think those is crisp up enough for our indication here. So we're going to put your thing away here, and I'm just going to put these directly onto a paper towel here. Trying to leave as much oil in the pan as I can. I know I'm going to get some onto the paper towels, but you can go ahead and save these oils for later use if you really want to, or you can dispose of it based on your local ordinances. Because it seems like a lot of different areas have different things on it. So to start with, we're going to go ahead and take our beefsteak tomatoes. I'm going to pull the caps off. All I'm doing is twisting, putting that into the garbage bin. All right, and you're going to take your knife, and you're going to cut a small portion off the top of the cap. And I'm going to go get a better knife because this thing needs to be sharpened. All right, so as I was, you can go ahead and we're going to cut the top off, set it aside because we're going to need it in a minute. Do the same thing with all 4. Oh yeah, that cuts so much better. Set the top aside, set your tomato aside. Same thing here. We're going to go ahead and cut the top. Set it aside, set your tomato aside. One more. Cut the top. Set it aside, set the tomato aside. Now that you're done with that, what you're going to need is you're going to need a spoon. Now this is the most finicky part about this, is you need to go in and you need to scoop out all of the insides. Being very careful not to break the wall of the tomato. So the best way I found to do this is you use this curved spoon and you just go in from the sides where the major veins are here. So you're going to go in, you're just going to go in and you're going to kind of scoop along the edge down into the bottom. You're going to scoop out the part you don't want. Now you can save that and use it for salsas or whatever you want. And once you're done, you're just going to take your spoon just like you would the inside of a pumpkin, if you will. And you're going to scrape along the sides here to get all of this out. You're basically making a shell for your stuff to sit in. And once again, you're just trying to be very, very careful not to get the bust through that wall. So when it's all said and done, you should end up with something like this. That's going to be your cooking vessel. Now I'm going to sit and do this for all 4 tomatoes. Now that all of my tomatoes are done, we're going to then grab a bowl. If you'd like to save any of your tomatoes innards, you can go ahead and get rid of those and move those to a different area now. All right, you're going to want to crack 6 eggs. That's 2 per tomato. Sometimes you can go down, depending on the size of your tomato, you'll have to adjust. It might just be 1 egg. I think for these tomatoes, 2 will probably be reasonable. I'm going to probably only do 1 for one of them, just to make sure that I can have enough. I'm using large brown eggs at this time. You're then going to want to go ahead and pull out a whisk. Whisk all those together. Now this part I know is going to be controversial. There are some people that say you're never supposed to put any seasoning in your eggs or anything like that. But we're going to go ahead and do that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in about, so we're doing 6 eggs, we're going to put in about 2 teaspoons or 2 or 3 pinches of salt, some black pepper, just freshly ground black pepper always tastes better, celery seed, some of the red chili flakes. These aren't overly spicy, they're more of a sweet flake than anything. And then some turmeric. Not too much. All right, we're then going to whisk that together as well. This just adds a little bit of flavoring to the egg. So, my wife and I had a discussion about this in the past on how to deal with this. What I'm going to do is I'm also going to take some of the kimchi. We're going to go and pull out some of this kimchi. I'm not going to pull out a ton, but we're going to pull out some. because what we're going to do is just like the bacon, we're going to make the kimchi the same way. Of course, you can always try some. So good. I'm then going to take the kimchi and I'm going to go ahead and chop it up here. That way you don't get any super big bites, but it adds a lot of that flavor and stuff into there. And then we can just add that directly into the egg mixture. I'm going to go ahead and dry my hands. Whisk that together some more. Because this flavoring from the kimchi is also going to be added to the egg as well. Alright. Now that that's added, we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab the bacon bits and do the same thing. You can see our lovely bacon bits here. I'm sure they're good. We'll add those directly to the mixture. Once again, I'm going to whisk that together. Now that's fully incorporated, I'm going to pull my whisk out. Okay, and I'm going to pull out a pan for the oven. Take tomatoes. We're going to move these onto the cookie sheets. Now, if your tomato is somewhat lopsided, you can always put a wrap of foil around it to help hold it. I've done that in the past, if needed. We're going to go save those lids for later. All right, take a ladle, and I'm just going to mix it up a little bit just to make sure it's a good distribution. Take one ladle, and just ladle that inside the tomato till it's almost full. Not quite full, but almost. Make sure you get all the bits in there. And as you can see, I actually did a full solid 6 eggs, and it was just enough to fit inside of all the tomatoes. So 2 eggs per works pretty well. All right. As your oven is coming up to temp, once this is done, what we're going to do is we're just going to pop this right in the oven for about 45 minutes. On the middle rack for about 40-45 minutes. I'll come back to you when I pull them out. Alright, so they just came out of the oven. This is what they look like. So, at this point, it's just a matter of plating them up. Best way to plate them up is you take an avocado. You're going to go ahead and slice from the top, straight down, come around, and just keep rolling around. That's going to make a slice around the side. You can then twist. It'll pop open. Take your knife, you're going to push down into the pit, twist that pit. A ripe avocado, it'll pop right out. Take that off and just throw it in the trash. And what you can do is you're going to go ahead and take your avocado, you're going to go and slice it. Into cubes. Now you can pull it out of the skin before you do this, but I just like doing it this way just because. You're then going to take the plate this up. You're going to take the plate. Grab your tomato, put it on your plate. Grab your avocado. And you'll put some avocado around it. Take your cap from earlier, place that right along the side. One last small sprinkle of salt to get on top of the avocados and the other tomato. Sit down and enjoy. So I'm going to go and just take a cross section here just to pop it open so you can see. A little bit of avocado, a little bit of the tomato. You can get the sweetness of the tomato and the kind of spiciness of the kimchi with a little bit of the bacon in there. The creaminess of the avocado. So good. So good.